The Clash of the Coliseum was thankfully run this past weekend. Might not have been the day that we were all expecting, but it was run to its full extent. And while we have had a few days to digest it, I think there are things that we can learn heading into the season from the 2024 Clash. So with that, we're going to look today at 5 things that we learned from the 2024 Clash. Starting out, we learned that NASCAR is still amazing at triaging bad situations. I had alluded to it when we started the video, but this race had been moved from Sunday night to Saturday night due to what was, quote, life-threatening weather moving in. And since then, LA has gotten one of the biggest rainstorms in recorded history. And with that, it was an unprecedented move to move the race back that far. The most I have ever heard of a race being moved back was maybe a half hour or so to try and fit at least half the race into the TV window. But the only other thing that comes close to this is when the summer Daytona race back in 1998 was moved later into the year because of the forest fires going on in Florida at the time. But there has never been something like this that I can think of where an entire race was moved back 24 hours. And to be fair, I think NASCAR made the correct call because based on the photos and video of the Coliseum 24 hours after the race started when it was supposed to, there was no way in hell that this race was getting in. And based on the footage we've seen from LA, San Diego, and just about everywhere around California where they would have been either competing at or driving away from, well, there's just no way. NASCAR will do anything to get a race in, and I kind of liken this to the 2020 rescheduling after COVID, where the real collaboration between TV and NASCAR took place, and we saw something like this today. There's been a history of moving races around and getting races in, and once again, NASCAR impresses. Secondly, Joey Logano and Ty Gibbs will be a rivalry this year. The two have had continuing issues. Last year at Martinsville, Logano pretty much out of nowhere took out Ty Gibbs, and the two had words as well as bent up fenders because of it. And then this year, they got into each other again in the Clash, and after the race, Logano and Ty Gibbs got into a bit of an argument, where Logano was basically warning Ty Gibbs not to go at him, and Ty Gibbs was telling him that he's watched his whole life Joey Logano act like this and why this is no different. Gibbs is only going to get better, and we've seen at the end of 2023 flashes of this, and I think we're going to see it a lot too. Thing is, he's very aggressive. He doesn't even care about his teammate like in 2022 at Martinsville. So why the hell would he care about Joey Logano, somebody who he's seen as wronging him? Logano is at the moment the villain of NASCAR, or at least one of them. He's an on-track baddie that will not let anyone get away with anything against him, and he'll repay them tenfold. He's been like this for most of his career, but it's been at the forefront since 2015 with his rivalry with Matt Kenseth, and his persona has stayed the same way. Third is that this is the last LA Clash. It's unofficial, no one said anything yet, but it seems almost completely obvious. They had all hope died down, honestly, before the rain. See, last year, the ratings and the attendance were down from 2022, and so was the hype machine, and it felt the same way this year with the hype machine, and now for sure ratings will be 100% down from last year as you moved from a primetime Sunday night slot on Fox to, well, still a primetime slot on FS1 last minute. And I don't see this really being NASCAR's fault. They did the best with what they had, but it really feels like that alone, popularity-wise, is not going to bring this event back, at least not for a long time. And to be real, it's probably really difficult for the teams on every aspect. You have to go cross-country from Charlotte to Los Angeles, stay there a couple days, then back to Los Angeles to Charlotte, then down to Daytona for speed weeks. It's going to be a lot of money saved if, say, the Clash is at least somewhere closer next year, or back at Daytona, or even in Homestead, for instance. But honestly, what really was the knockout blow was the storm coming in. It caused all of the problems, obviously, that happened this past week, and any hope for year 4, I think, went out the door with the rain coming down. Fourth is that NASCAR is definitely going to be going to Mexico very soon. News leaked out that the Clash could move to Mexico, and that probably isn't something that is too far out of the realm of possibility. NASCAR is meeting with different officials this week in Daytona to talk about international races, and you have to think that an exhibition race like the Clash would be probably one of the top build priorities with that. It's been a public goal of NASCAR for years to get down to Mexico and expand, just like they're trying to do with Canada. And that was probably one of the biggest goals when you had the Mexico Series race, as they were racing up in America and in front of a wider audience on TV as well as in person. And to be real with you, the Mexico Series, I think, actually raced better than the Cup Series did, at least on track. I think that this is something that's going to be an ongoing story for the year. And while NASCAR has talked about having the schedule come out in the middle of the summer, they talked about that in years past, and then Montreal pushed them back. And I think that that could be something similar that could happen this year. And fifth up, last but definitely not least, is that Denny Hamlin is, at least going into the season, 2024's main character. He was the star of the new Netflix documentary, NASCAR Full Speed. So a lot of new fans will be paying attention to Denny Hamlin, as they either will love him or hate him going into NASCAR for the first time. He has been at the forefront, in my opinion, of drivers and teams promoting NASCAR this offseason, and he has become a huge podcast star with Action's Detrimental, the breakout show of 2023, which has come out swinging pretty well this year as well. And to top it all off, he won the Clash. He is going to be at the top of pretty much every NASCAR storyline heading into Daytona, both for just speed weeks and the 500 alike. And being a former 500 champion, there's no reason to think he won't be competing up front for large swaths of this race. A lot of fans now are conflicted with him. Some are starting to warm up to him even if they don't like him, while others are really not liking him now. And he's relished the NASCAR villain role. He's done everything possible to position himself, at least out in the public, as a driver to watch in every way. And I think that because of that, Denny Hamlin's going to be somebody that everyone will be watching this year to see if he can finally get that first title. Now with that, I want to hear from you. What did you learn from this year's edition of The Clash? Let me know down in the comments below. Did you like it? Did you loathe it? Let me know. And while you're at it, leave a like on this video, share this video, and subscribe to this channel for more great NASCAR content. Thank you so much to all my channel members for your continued support. And until next time, have a good one.